What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist here with
Gershwan.
And guess what? We're back at it again, answering more questions in another episode of For the Greater This
is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put a question in front of your question because we get to those questions first. And that is what? Do you have it or did I have it?
I believe you had it.
Okay, it's going to be RMS Man 27. I got into 40K lore because Star Wars went woke and it changed my beloved lore. Do you think this will happen to Warhammer? And should I start looking around for a different setting with great lore? Yes, leave. I mean...
So here's the thing. We've been wanting great 40K stories and action and all this stuff brought into the big screen for a long time. As long as I can remember jumping into the hobby of 40K, people have always wanted a good movie. And as time progressed, we see that all our nostalgic things are getting redone and revamped, and it's worse than what we imagined it when we were younger. And I think that applies to everything, not just the whole, it's going woke, for the most part. But when it comes to 40K, the funniest thing to me is if we get a perfect movie, we see a Space Marine kicking ass, we get lore accurate representation, and we get just an overall good storyline that makes sense and appeals to the masses, people are still going to find something to nitpick and kind of tear apart. So I think the funniest thing they could do for these Amazon shows or movies or whatever would be if we see a badass Space Marine, doing its thing, and it's like a 10 out of 10 movie, and then at the end we see the Space Marine take its helmet and it's a woman. Would that change it for you?
Yes.
Would that just disregard this 10 out of 10 movie for like a 3-second clip at the end?
Yeah. Well, so I think in that situation, I see what you're trying to get at, but I think...
obviously that's never going to happen. That's just like the big, F you. So.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Here's the thing, yeah.
But I think what the problem is that a lot of people are saying that woke is just like the disrespect to the original core feel of the game. And I think that's inevitable. I feel like because Games Workshop wants to make Warhammer 40K as marketable to as many people as possible, the grim darkness is going to go away.
It'll definitely be diluted.
Yeah, so you're not going to have, if you check out the movie, which one's the one that's supposed to be like 40K, or it was supposed to be 40K, but it turned out to be just its own thing?
Event Horizon?
Event Horizon, yeah. If you check out Event Horizon, it's a horror movie. If somebody creates that level of horror within 40K to an OG player, it's going to be like, yeah, that's my 40K universe. That's what I'm talking about. But to the vast majority of people, it would be like, no, that's like where the Space Marines were, like that kind of thing. So I think we have to recognize that there's a lot of new people coming into the lore, and a lot of them are just waving the woke flag and saying that this is happening, when in reality it's like we need to understand that the 40K that we like, the grim darkness and all that kind of stuff, it kind of has to lighten up a little bit. So I think like removing the helmet and calling it a female Space Marine, that's way different than having a game or having a movie that's more marketable to more people. So more like what's that, Rebel Moon?
Yeah.
That's probably gonna happen. So yeah. And then obviously we talked about this in the One Mind Syndicate channel, and we lost a lot of subscribers. But at the same time, I think it's a small minority that's like being loud. We got like maybe 5 like people who direct message us saying like, oh, you guys suck for talking about female Space Marines, even though we weren't like promoting it or anything like that. But I mean, that's less people that are in the Wu-Tang clan, so it's not that bad. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd say be hopeful, but don't expect I don't know how to put it, because you never know. Yeah. They might give us the best thing that's ever been done for 40K, and it becomes the next quote-unquote Star Wars. But I don't think it'll get to that level. But we won't know until it comes out. So no matter what, even if it is a really good representation of the OG quote-unquote values, grim darkness of 40K, there's always going to be somebody picking it apart.
True. Yeah. And half the time, it's not like an OG person. Too.
Yeah. But I mean, like I said, people grow up with different aspects of 40K because it's so vast. So like how you were saying, oh, the grim darkest, the horror aspect, that's your 40K. Well, somebody else could be like, no, like if you look at Astartes, that's 40K to me, and there's no really like horror aspect to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, except for the end scene when he has that vision, and it's just like kind of demonic.
A little bit, yeah.
But it has to get watered down. That's just the nature of everything.
Right, but it's not like a dude carving into his skin, getting flayed type of horror.
Not yet.
Yeah. And that's the cool thing about 40K. You can explore all these different avenues.
Yeah.
So let us know your thoughts down below. What do you think would make the best type of 40K movie? And do you have hope when Amazon has it in their clutches?
Yes. If nobody gets skinned in a 40K movie, I'm calling it shit. The next question comes from the big one. Do the Make-A-Wish people only help sick kids? What about if you're just really broke? Because I have a wish that I'm finally able to afford a mini from Games Workshop.
They have free minis like once a month.
Yeah.
It might not be the mini you want. They might be sold out, but it's an opportunity.
Yeah, Games Workshop gives free mini. That's how they got me. I kept going into the store, and then one day the worker was like, you know what, here's a free orc. And then from that point on, I was an orc player. They got me. Also, would you have a kid if you knew he had a... no, never mind. That's too grimdark. See, even I'm watering myself. I'm becoming woke.
Yeah, we can't even say what we want to anymore, and this is our channel.
All because people are going to get upset about some type of... yeah, see, I don't even want to say it. Never mind. The next question.
This one is by Serifran, and I'm just going to mix it in with Mark Kaimo as well. Eisenhorn would be the perfect setting into 40K because it has everything. And then Mark says, if they have to do a 40K movie, start with 2 to 3 serious ones, and then shove in Cyphus on the 4th movie because he's like the Deadpool version of 40K.
Yeah, I think the stories are already written. Just follow those plot lines. Xenos and Eisenhorn is probably one of my favorite books. You get to see an Emperor's Children, and you get to see like what that does to your psyche, like what it does to like what a Emperor's Children Chaos devotee does to somebody who's just standing a couple feet away, not doing anything like pointing at them, just simply its presence. Just yeah, it's pretty cool.
And that shows you that like when most people think Warhammer 40K, what are the first thing they think of? Space Marines. So a story can be done really well with just regular humans.
Yeah.
So the more I hear about it from you guys, the more I think that, yeah, I definitely think they should start with like Eisenhorn or something along those lines to explore just how sandboxy and massive 40K is. And then we can get the awesome like one-off Space Marine like adventures and stuff like that.
And you could also make it funny because a lot of... I think with DC, the thing that kind of sucked with DC is whenever they would try to land a joke, it wouldn't feel right because it's like, well, the feeling of the movie is very serious, and then you're over here trying to joke like if it was a Marvel movie. And I think Games Workshop shouldn't make that same mistake, and they should try to add humor in a proper way. But you do that by establishing, you know, the humor right away. And you could do that with an Inquisitor. I don't think you can do that with a Space Marine.
Yeah, there are certain Space Marines that have more of like a stoic nature, but there are other Space Marines that are like the Space Wolves.
Yeah.
Like they're not as stoic as like an Ultramarine or anything like that. So they will joke around and whatnot. So
yeah. So yeah, just figure it out. Games Workshop. Next question comes from Vezar Azeo. What can you teach us about the Imperium doing the freaky deaky? So if my grandma has taught me anything about sex, is that it doesn't really it doesn't matter what universe, if there's a hole, sex is gonna happen. So yeah.
Thanks, Grandma. They're very stingy on it because for one, you could be praising Slanesh unbeknowingly, and for two, there are a lot of humans in 40K, and like, yeah, you need reproduction and stuff like that to have like the manpower and to basically just get, you know, things built, to get farms farmed. I don't know what they call it nowadays.
Farms, yeah.
So like manpower is a big resource in the Imperium, but at the same time, like if you're just having kid after kid after kid, eventually these mutations are gonna happen. You're gonna have blanks. You're gonna have chaos worshippers. So it's almost like a resource that definitely needs to be kind of like monitored. That's the word.
Yeah. So think of China with what's it, two kid rule or something like that.
Yeah.
But the opposite, like the Imperium wants you to pump out as many kids as possible. But yeah, then they don't talk too much about it. They don't get into too much detail. A lot of orphan kids, because that's what the Sisters of Battle are. That's what
A lot of Inquisitors or any type of like military planetary defense force.
So everybody is working for the military branch of the Imperium. And yeah, there's a lot of orphans, which means that there has to be some type of like, freaky deaky going on.
Oh, yeah.
And those were the questions for today. If you guys have more questions for us, please comment down below. Thank you guys so much for listening. I'll talk tomorrow.
That's right. As always, it's been a Sound Alchemist here with
Gershwan.
And we are out.
Always used to put my freedom first in any situation.